Sony out here making surprise announcement that actually many would consider to be more of an Xbox announcement at the end of the day. This is going to be something that I feel like everybody's going to be talking about. You're going to want to hear it here first. I cannot wait to get into this topic. It's a video you don't want to miss. Hey there everyone, I'm the Crapgamer and this of course is Crapgamer Reviews, your home for gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. You'll probably notice a few cool changes around here, but that shouldn't stop you from giving us a like and possibly consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me and my silly YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot, so thank you guys very much. Both Sony and Microsoft have a lot to prove and a lot to do this generation. The Xbox Series X and S, the PlayStation 5, these are great consoles, but consoles need content. And I think that's the thing that we're going to continue to see get upgraded and added to throughout the upcoming years. When it comes to how Microsoft has done it, they made a big splash with Bethesda and the ZeniMax buyout. Sony, on the other hand, has been taking a much more low-key way about themselves. Obviously, the biggest pickup that they've made is Insomniac Games at around $250 million. This really pales in comparison to the almost $8 billion that Microsoft spent for ZeniMax. On the other hand, Sony has also picked up some smaller studios and things like that to sort of flesh out the content that they're making, and that makes a lot of sense. That's a very smart and strategic way to do things. Microsoft, never count them out and never doubt that they'll pick up something in the future, but right now it looks like Sony is aggressively investing in development capabilities, and it also looks like, according to a new Game Informer article, that they have more acquisitions on the way. This was an article that just came out today, and you know what, it does sound very much in plan with what we've seen previously. So far, 2021 has been a solid financial year for Sony. The acquisition of Returnal developer Housemarque, Nixxes Software, Star Citizen's Firesprite, and remaster heavyweight Bluepoint Games contributed to a 20% increase in Sony's total workforce. Now, according to VGC, this employee surge also led to record revenue numbers as noted in the conglomerate's second quarter financial results. With this unprecedented level of success, Sony plans to aggressively invest in development capabilities, which likely means that more developer acquisitions are on the way. Hiroki Totoki, Sony's executive director, deputy president, and chief financial officer, recently spoke about the monetary success and the next steps. As Mr. Totoki put it, the new studios under the umbrella of Sony are acclaimed for polished, engaging titles, and Nixxes Software in particular will ultimately help bring PlayStation games to the PC in the future. Going forward, Totoki began, we plan to leverage these studios to increase development capabilities of PlayStation Studios and use the expertise necessary to deploy games on PC and mobile devices. Mr. Totoki would follow that up by emphasizing Sony's desire to invest in its gaming arm. In fact, this branch has emerged as Sony's most successful division in recent years. As a result of the acquisitions announced at the beginning of this fiscal year, the number of PlayStation studios will increase by 4 to 16, and the number of developers will increase by almost 20%. We plan to continue to aggressively invest in our development capabilities going forward. With Phil Spencer announcing Xbox's ongoing mission to expand its brand with more studios, as well as software-focused increases last week, it's interesting and pretty expected to see Sony will also follow suit. It definitely makes a lot of sense. We are very much in content war situation right now, and it's really interesting to see how PlayStation has revealed that the workforce has not only grown 20%, but how it plans to actively invest even further. I can't believe that people are still out there believing that so many people are going to see such a difference between PlayStation and Xbox. I mean, obviously there's a difference there, but both companies have their own strategic ideas, and both companies have strategies for trying to make what they can out of, pretty much their workforce is going. Meaning, Sony doesn't have to do a day and date subscription model with their exclusives to be successful. And when we look at how there's a pretty good possibility that Microsoft themselves have really kind of not done as well with that as you might believe, it makes a lot of sense that Sony wouldn't follow suit directly. Now, will they change that up in the future? I don't know. To me, PlayStation now is in need of a rebrand more than day and date exclusives, big exclusives from Sony. I think Sony could change the way that they do things, and I think that that could still be successful. One of the things that I think they could do that would be successful is get some of the bigger double A's and indies day and date into PlayStation Now in the future. I think that would work wonders, because obviously Sony focuses a lot on the heavy narrative games, and those probably wouldn't do well in a service where instead of paying $70 for them, somebody could just pay $15, beat the game, and be done with it. Where on the Microsoft side, they have a lot of games that require, the constant playing and the monthlies and their games as a service and things like that. So it makes much more sense for them to go about that and to do that. On the other side, I think Sony looks like kind of the little engine that could at this point. They continually go out there and try to do things that obviously a company with less money than Microsoft would continue to do, but it doesn't mean that, they're any less set up. PlayStation branch and the PlayStation brand is the brand that carries Sony at this point, so you have to keep that in mind as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how these companies kind of go forward with these things, but imagine Sony going out there and making a big splash, buying some new studios. I love the fact that Sony has been very kind of organic with the studios that they've bought, and it makes a lot of sense for them to continue to go out and invest in that, since it's really the branch that brings in the most money for Sony. Microsoft, on the other hand, I fully expect them to go out and make some noise as well. Obviously, with Game Pass, that becomes sort of a situation where you have to always have something in there to feed Game Pass, right? You can't just rely on some of these other third-party stuff, because, again, their first party is nowhere near as stable or as well received as what Sony is doing. And so I think that's something that we're starting to see more and more of these days, which is where on the Xbox side, people are starting to notice and go, oh, well, there's the first little bend in the armor for Game Pass. Right? When we look at it and we see, well, it was at 18 million, and then, 10 months later, it's maybe at 19 million. You start to see that there's been a huge slowdown, or quite possibly it could have been at the 23 million that was rumored, and they dropped some subscribers after the pandemic or after the lockdowns and things like that kind of ended. So that's sort of the way that I look at these things, and it's going to be very interesting and intriguing going forward to see how both Microsoft and Sony react to these types of situations. Microsoft, on one hand, they're very quiet about their announcements, their numbers, and things like that. Sony have no problem bragging about their number of sales, even if something has taken a hit. I've noticed that I've seen it circulating more on Twitter recently that PlayStation Plus had lost a couple million subscribers. This was news back in August, and people are just now starting to circulate this as if it's some big surprise. When lockdowns initially started to end earlier in the year, Netflix, Disney, HBO, PlayStation Plus, all these companies announced that they had lost subscribers. Obviously, Microsoft didn't, because Microsoft doesn't announce those type of things. They also don't announce the numbers that they have to begin with. So when we look at things, they probably lost subscribers too, and everybody does. It's just one of those things that kind of happens, and Microsoft doesn't want it to look bad. So I've always stated that Game Pass will go as far as Xbox sales go, meaning that, yes, Game Pass is available on a kabillion different things, but the people that are going to be interested in hardcore games are going to want to play those hardcore games through an Xbox or a PC. Anybody that's playing through the cloud is obviously somebody who's already a member in that ecosystem to begin with, and it's not really helping to grow anything. And I think that's the big change that we're starting to see from the companies themselves. With that being said, I would absolutely love to hear your guys' thoughts and feedback on this. Let me know what you think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. If you enjoy the content, all that stuff is really welcome. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. Have a great day. Crap gamer out.
Turns out, the same people as always, dropping the facts. It's not cross-gen.